In the world of professional cybercrime, patience is typically considered a virtue. Most hacking groups operate like burglars in the night. They spend weeks, sometimes months, mapping out a network, escalating privileges, and slowly exfiltrating sensitive data before they ever let their presence be known. It is a slow, methodical game of cat and mouse. But then, there is FIN12. If the average ransomware group is a long-distance runner, FIN12 is a sprinter, and they have rewritten the playbook on just how fast a company's network can be brought to its knees. Their name has become synonymous with a specific kind of terrifying efficiency: time to encryption. For FIN12, the goal isn't to stay hidden, it is to get in, lock everything down, and get out before the IT department even realizes there is a problem. To understand why FIN12 is so dangerous, you have to look at how they operate. They don't waste time doing the heavy lifting of initial infiltration. They are the ultimate consumers in the underground economy of cybercrime. Instead of burning resources on finding their own vulnerabilities or launching their own phishing campaigns, they outsource the most difficult part of the job to initial access brokers, or IABs. These are independent criminals who specialize in finding a way into corporate networks and then selling that key to the kingdom to the highest bidder on dark web forums. By the time FIN12 touches the network, the door is already unlocked, the alarm is disabled, and the red carpet has effectively been rolled out. This business model allows them to skip the weeks of reconnaissance and go straight to the payload. This strategy changes the entire dynamic of corporate defense. Traditional security frameworks are often built on the assumption that you have time to react. You have time to spot the suspicious login, time to quarantine the compromised host, and time to block the malicious IP address. But FIN12 turns that timeline into a blur. When they purchase access, they move with a level of aggression that is startling. They often deploy their ransomware within 24 to 48 hours of gaining access to a network. This is not enough time for most IT departments to pivot from a standard workday to an incident response posture. By the time the security team notices a spike in CPU usage or a sudden flurry of file activity, the encryption process is already underway, and the server infrastructure is effectively dead. The group's targets are equally calculated. They have shown a distinct preference for large, high-revenue organizations, particularly those in the healthcare and clinical research sectors. This is not an accident. They aren't looking for small targets with shallow pockets, they are looking for organizations where the cost of downtime is astronomical. In a hospital, a locked server isn't just a financial burden, it is a life or death situation. Patients can't be treated, records aren't accessible, and critical equipment might be rendered useless. FIN12 knows that by creating an immediate, high-pressure crisis, they are far more likely to extract a massive ransom payment. They are effectively weaponizing the victim's need to restore normalcy as quickly as possible. While many other ransomware groups have shifted toward double extortion, stealing data and threatening to leak it if the ransom isn't paid, FIN12 often focuses primarily on the disruption itself. They want to shut you down, and they want to do it now. This is a classic, smash and grab, strategy, but executed with the surgical precision of an elite operations unit. They don't need to spend time sifting through terabytes of stolen files to find incriminating emails or trade secrets. They just need to make the business stop working. It is a terrifyingly effective lever of control. If you have to choose between waiting weeks to restore from backups or paying a fee to get your production line moving again tomorrow morning, the pressure to pay becomes immense. So, how do companies defend against a group that moves at the speed of light? The traditional approach of perimeter security is clearly failing. If you are relying on firewalls and basic monitoring to keep FIN12 out, you are already behind. Defending against a group like this requires a shift toward proactive threat hunting and endpoint visibility. It means assuming that a breach has already occurred or is imminent. Organizations need to deploy tools that can automatically identify and kill malicious processes the moment they start, rather than waiting for an alert to be triaged by a human analyst. It also means having an incident response plan that doesn't just sit in a binder on a shelf, but is drilled and practiced so that when the alarm goes off, the response is automatic, not manual. The rise of FIN12 also highlights a grim reality about the modern criminal economy. The specialization of labor has made hacking more dangerous than ever. You no longer need to be a brilliant coder to deploy ransomware, you just need to be a good negotiator and a savvy buyer of illegal services. The ecosystem is fully automated and industrialized. When you have groups like FIN12 at one end of the chain and IABs at the other, the barrier to entry for cybercrime drops to almost zero. It is a dark, profitable feedback loop that is constantly evolving. As we look toward the future, the danger is that FIN12 has set a new benchmark for other criminal groups. Speed is now the primary competitive advantage in the ransomware market. Every other gang is watching what they do and trying to emulate their efficiency. We are moving into an era where dwell time, the amount of time a hacker spends inside a network, is being compressed from months into hours. It is an arms race where the defenders are constantly playing catch-up. To survive in this environment, businesses have to stop viewing cybersecurity as an IT expense and start viewing it as an existential imperative. Because in a world where your entire business can be encrypted in the time it takes to have lunch, the only difference between a minor incident and a company-ending disaster is how fast you can stop the clock. The era of the slow burn hack is over. We are now living in the era of the lightning strike.